Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll see what kind of controversies they get into, but between now and then, some great guests and important information coming your way. For example, we're going to continue our series of exclusive interviews with candidates who are running for Congress in the newly formed 6th District. This time, we'll spend some time with Kathy Manning. We'll also tell you about a special event that's coming up that's going to benefit a great organization. So stay tuned for all that. First, though, we're going to turn our attention to teachers, teacher salaries, why they need to be higher, and a referendum, a special quarter-cent sales tax that's going to be on your ballot on March the 3rd that could help abate this problem to a certain extent. And we have two experts that are going to talk about it right now. On my immediate right, I'm going to call her the new superintendent because she's never been on this show before, but she has settled into the job. Dr. Angela Harrison is superintendent of Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. Next to her, a good buddy, Dr. Don Martin, vice chair of the Forsyth County Commissioners and former school superintendent in that same district. Welcome to both of you. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
And I know you're not new, but I'm calling you new.
That's
for this.
fine.
Angela, why do we need a quarter-cent sales tax to help teachers?
Frankly, our teachers we need more pay to recruit the best and retain the best. And we know that teachers make all the difference in the world for children.
What kind of salary increases are we talking about once this passes?
So beginning teacher salaries are just under $36,000, and that'll put us close to $40,000, which is where we would like to be, as close to that $40,000 for new teachers, and certainly reward our teachers who have experience, our veteran teachers as well. So we feel comfortable that we will better shape to recruit great teachers and certainly retain the ones we have and keep them.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the before I get to Don, let me stick with you for just a second, Angela. Would the tax increase just go to help teacher salaries, or would it also help with salaries of other staff?
So this referendum is to help teacher salaries. We will use other dollars to increase our board, in fact, voted last night to prioritize classified employee raises, and that will be the other group of employees who support teachers. So yes, there is an intention to raise classified salaries as well.
Don, on the ballot, and I think I read in advance a copy of what the ballot's going to look like. It's a pretty cold statement there. It just says, well, this is going to be in addition to the other taxes. But the thing is, this quarter-cent sales tax, people say, well, no, wait a minute. Is that going to apply to every single thing I purchase?
No. In fact, it does not apply to groceries, does not apply to gasoline, does not apply to prescription drugs, and does not apply to motor vehicle and house sales. So there are a lot of things that are exempt. But one of the things about it, it's true that everybody pays it, but it also means everybody means if you're a visitor here, if you're driving through town, if you're staying in a hotel, if you're eating out, if you attend a Wake Forest basketball game and eat before or after, you're going to pay that tax. So essentially, our visitors help us pay our teacher salary.
And this is going to raise what? How many $million?
$13 million to begin with is the estimate, and hopefully it'll grow with the economy.
If I was devil's advocate and I said, hey, Dr. Martin, why don't we just increase the property taxes, what would you say?
Well, with property tax, we've equated that. It's the equivalent of about 3.5 cents of property tax. And I can tell you that we compare ourselves with property tax with the Winston-Salem plus Forsyth County to the other urban city-county combos. And right now, what's called the effective tax rate, which is adjusted for appraisal cycles, basically we're the highest of that group. And we're the highest because we have the lowest per capita property assessment behind each person. But our commission feels, and rarely would I speak for them, but I think I can say we're kind of property taxed out.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity to actually to do something different in a different type of tax.
It's going to be easy to do. Final question before time runs out, Angela. What's the biggest challenge to passing this tax? Just letting people know, or what?
Letting people know that the ballot will not reference teacher pay. It will read quite different. Just ask, do you support or not support an increase in the sales tax? And we need to people need to understand the purpose of the money.
Well, up on the screen is the website forsythteachers.com, where you can get a lot of information. And I'm not supposed to do commercials on this show, but I'll just say to everybody, please vote for, because this is important that teachers get this salary increase. As Angela said, the word teachers is not even on the ballot, and it should be, because this is what it's going to do to help them and boost their salaries a little bit. It's on March the 3rd, unless you vote early, but vote for that quarter-cent sales tax. Dr. Angela Harrison, Don Martin, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back after. Now on Triad Today, and it's time to meet another one of the candidates running in the newly formed 6th Congressional District, which includes Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, all of Guilford, and much of Forsyth. Kathy Manning is a graduate of Harvard University and the University of Michigan Law School. She was a partner at Greensboro Law Firm for 15 years before starting her own business, and she's been a tireless community servant for 30 years, working on bringing jobs to the area, school readiness programs for disadvantaged kids, and much more. Most recently, she helped spearhead the effort to build the new Tanger Center for the Performing Arts. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Good
Nice to see you again.
It's been a while. All right, first question I ask everybody, why are you running?
Well, I took on a tough race in 2018 because I was so deeply worried about the future of this country. And I wish I could say all the issues I was worried about, from healthcare and prescription drug prices to the environment, to gun violence, to women's reproductive rights, to jobs, and high quality education for all our kids. I wish all those things had been solved, but they haven't.
Worse.
Things have actually gotten worse. I agree with you.
You know, the Trump's proposed budget contains cuts in the new budget that's proposed, cuts in Medicaid, cuts in food stamps. He's been vacillating on cuts in Medicare and Social Security, but it looks like that'll be that as well. Give me your thoughts.
And block grants.
Yeah.
I think it is ironic that he gave a State of the Union that was so misleading and made it seem like he was really good for the country. But his budget shows what he is really all about, and it's going to be devastating for people all across this district and all across the country.
I know access to health care is a personal thing for you and your family. Does that mean that you're in favor of Medicare for all?
You know, it's interesting. As you're right, this issue is personal to me because of the fight I had getting the medication my daughter needed when she was diagnosed with a chronic illness. And everywhere I go and tell that story, I have people line up and tell me about the struggles they have paying for their medication. I met a woman just last week, the Golden Corral in Winston-Salem, who told me she had just been diagnosed with an illness that required a special medication her doctor put her on, and she's on Medicare. And yet this medication costs her $2,100 a month. And this woman is on Social Security and a little bit of money she was able to put aside over the years as a public servant. So I see this problem day after day. We worked so hard to get the Affordable Care Act in place, and it got $20 million covered by insurance. It protects people like my daughter with pre-existing conditions.
Right.
I think what we need to be doing is building on that, building on the Affordable Care Act, and I think we need a robust public option, and I would start by allowing people to buy into Medicare at a younger age.
We have a few seconds left, and I got to get this in. What about your background and experience will make you an effective Congresswoman?
I have lived in this district for more than 30 years. I've raised my children here. I have worked as an immigration attorney. I have worked on all kinds of projects to make our community better. As you've listed a lot of them, so I won't detail them, but I love this district and I have worked to make it better. I believe I have a proven track record of leadership, of being able to bring people together to get tough things done. Those are the leadership qualities I want to take to Washington so that I can get things done for the people of this district.
I sure do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
All right. You can visit Kathy's website at kathymanningfornc.com. That's kathymanningfornc.com. You can also watch this interview again Saturday, February 29th on ABC 45 and Sunday, March 1st on My 48 when we showcase all 7 candidates running for Congress in the 6th District. Now, these voter education segments are made possible in part by the good folks at Truliant Federal Credit Union. Their website is on screen, truliantfcu.org. We'll be right back. Back now on Triad Today, and boy, I like it. Anytime we can grab a few minutes with our good friends from Mountain Valley Hospice and Palliative Care, and here she is, next to me, Sheila Jones, Director of Marketing and Public Relations for Mountain Valley Hospice and Palliative Care. Welcome back, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
As we always do, because you never know, people don't always watch the program, they've just moved into the area, whatever. Remind us what hospice is and who you serve.
Well, hospice is a special program for those who are facing a serious illness. The most common is known as that folks have a life expectancy of 6 months or less, no matter what disease process.
Right.
And we do that in North Carolina and Virginia. We have about 17 counties, Surrey and Yadkin County, and anything that touches that, and Carroll, Grayson, and Patrick, and anything that touches that. So
It's a
We've got
huge area that you're
huge
serving.
territory, yes.
Now,
Wonderful territory, though. Beautiful country and mountains.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Now, people have asked me before when they've seen you on the show, and they'll say, you always say that there's this word palliative in the name. And because people have begun to learn more and more about hospice care, as you just explained. Palliative care is different. What is it, and how does it complement hospice care?
Well, palliative just simply means comfort, but we have a palliative care program separate from our hospice program, and that program is primarily focuses on folks who have something to manage. Maybe a patient who might have COPD, cardiopulmonary disease.
That's like my dad had.
Needs something to manage that, that oxygen and being able to breathe and that kind of thing.
So there's a life expectancy problem there anyway, but
There
they have
is,
something
but it's
that needs
not
to
that
be
6 months or less. It's more that lengthy, several
Yeah.
years down the road. They just need help managing that, and we can do that in their home setting. They can come to the clinic. There's several ways to do that. We have, several providers that provide that care.
I just think, I don't want to really go into this and make it personal because I know there's so many things you and I need to cover. But with my dad, exactly that's the same thing with COPD. And it went on for years and under hospice care and palliative care. And then when it came time, unfortunately, for him, the hospice he was already in the system and the hospice team was ready to go.
You already had a relationship. It was easier.
It's a relationship, and I think that's very important.
One of the things to remember, Jim, is that with palliative care, if you think of it like a specialty, like if you go to an oral surgeon, that's what it is. If you think we're a practice, we provide that care as a specialty. So if you just think of it like that, it's kind of easy.
Absolutely. Now understand that on the positive side here, you have something going on in Sparta. What's that about?
Yes, we do. I've actually was up there today. We are opening another resale shop, and we're doing that in Sparta. We had some call for that community. They reached out to us, and we've been able to meet that need, and we're excited about that because it'll allow us to better serve our community up there.
Another resale shop. So once that's up and going there in Sparta, the proceeds, when people come in and buy things that you have, and secondhand things, whatever that people donate, the proceeds will help hospice and palliative care how?
Well, we, as an agency, we're a nonprofit, 501c3. We, because we're that, we can accept gifts from the community, and we turn around and put everything we make back into other programs, like starting that palliative care program, our hospice program, our Pet Peace of Mind program, our We Honor Veterans program. It allows us to do that. But also having a resale shop like this and having those funds coming back into that, we can say no matter what that person has going on with them, we don't turn them away based on ability to pay.
Yeah.
So if they show up with no insurance whatsoever, we can still care for them. We won't turn them away based on that.
Right. Folks at home, I'm not going to do a commercial, but don't be fooled by some of these organizations that are
Exactly.
for profit, because they will turn you away in a heartbeat or kick you out, and that's as far as I'm going to say. But anyway, the Mountain Valley Hospice and Palliative Care team is there for you. Very quickly, since you can do fundraising and you do various fundraising events, there's a raffle coming up.
Oh yes, it's a good time of year. Our big hospice raffle is about to happen. I'm ready to get those tickets going out any day with the help of our development department. They're finalizing the prizes. I've heard there's some really good things. I saw a really beautiful
when is
necklace
this
set.
raffle?
We will sell probably end of February, in mid-February to all the way to end of March. And then the prizes will be given away every single day in April.
Okay.
So you follow our Facebook page, our Instagram, we'll post things there so folks can see who wins those prizes every day.
Okay.
The tickets are $10. There's usually about $4,000 to $5,000 worth of prizes on there.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Up on
so much
screen,
fun.
mdmvalleyhospice.org is how you get to them to learn more about hospice, or set up an appointment for you and your family to talk with Sheila's team and Denise and all the great folks up there. And stay tuned for that raffle, too. Thank you, dear.
The raffle's fun.
Yeah. We'll be right back after this. Triad Today have a great group with us as we talk about a big event coming up. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is yet. We're just going to go right to these guys on my right. David Daggett, of course, attorney with Daggett Schuler. He and his partner, Griff Schuler, have brought in a special guest who himself has been here before. And we check in with him at least once a year or so about this big event coming up. Dr. McNeil Cronin is board member of Down Syndrome Association of Greater Winston-Salem. Good to see you guys.
Thanks for having us.
McNeil, let me start with you. First, for those who may not know, what's the mission of the association and what support or services does it offer?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. So the Down Syndrome Association of Greater Winston-Salem is a local nonprofit here in Winston-Salem, and its main mission is to support individuals in our community with Down syndrome and support their families. and really advocate for them to live the best life that they possibly can, being accepted, being included in our community, in all aspects of life, in their school systems, in the workforce, in our social lives. And we believe that that's what's best for those individuals and their families, and more importantly, we believe it's what's best for our entire community.
Now let's talk about this thing called the 321, the Deacon Dash. What is it? When is it? And why do you hold it?
So coming up on March 21st, which is a date that we're really excited about, is our 5th annual Deacon Dash for Down syndrome. This is an event, a 5K, where we've partnered with the Wake Forest Athletic Department. We've been doing this for 5 years. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it's a 5K run. It's a fundraiser for our organization, one of the biggest ones of our year. And it's at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds. And this is a race, it's the most accepting and most inclusive race in this state, I would argue. And it keeps getting more and more successful. And it promotes our mission of valuing individuals in our community with Down syndrome. And it's also a really fun race. It's sponsored by the Twin City Track Club, so you can go out there and get your time. But most importantly, it's a celebration of our individual members.
David Daggett, what's your involvement with this big event, and why did you get involved?
Well, I've been privileged to get to MC the event the last
That's right.
4 years?
5 years.
Every year, all 5 years.
Yeah.
And it is wonderful. It's something that McNeil really didn't explain to my satisfaction. Is I think the greatest lesson is the way the Down syndrome community accepts us. Mm-hmm. And that message of inclusion and acceptance, you won't see it on a brighter stage than this.
Right.
It's heartwarming, it's wonderful. It's a 5K, then there's an optional 0.11 to equal the 321 Deacon Dash,
right.
the 3 pairs of the 21 chromosome. The date 321 works out, that's World Down Syndrome Day.
Okay.
But that extra 0.11, the optional distance after the finish line, is so special. You have I'm gonna tear up. You have the Down syndrome kids lined up. You can't announce it in advance, but we can say last year we had Wake Forest athletes. They made a tunnel for the kids to run through.
That's great.
With their hands, and it was just wonderful.
That's just great. Griff, this is something for everybody, and I've seen pictures of you and David with the kids and everybody. What does it mean to you?
I think one of the best things about this event, and one of the things that Dave and I love, is that just like a lot of things that happen in the Triad in our community, is it takes different types of communities in our area and puts them together. I think it's fantastic that Wake Forest Athletics has seen this as in their community as being very important for them to be involved in another community that they can reach out to. And I think Dave and I love it when different communities in the Triad come together for a common purpose like this event, and it's absolutely wonderful.
And of course, Griff, we've kidded you before, but you were a great college athlete 100 years ago.
So was he.
Academic All-American.
Yeah, academic, that's right.
So is this guy.
And so McNeil was too.
And a Hall of Famer.
But this is, I mean, you can, but the guys like you and David and McNeil can do this, but old, fat, gray-headed men like me can do it too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's great. There's a fun run that starts it out.
Right.
So you can come out for the fun run, and then of course the 5K.
Okay.
It's a fantastic.
We have families that walk together, groups that walk together.
Yeah.
There's teams involved. They dress up. It's a festive event.
Well, up on screen, I want to make sure I repeat all this information. 321 Deacon Dash, Saturday, March 21st, 8:30 a.m., Winston-Salem Fairgrounds. For information, to donate or to volunteer, visit www.DSAGWS, stands for Down Syndrome Association of Greater Winston-Salem. It's up on screen for the radio listening audience, dsagws.org, or you can call 739-3696. Also, please visit the Daggett Schuler website on screen, DaggettSchulerLaw.com, about all the great things they do and the way they can help people. And you can call for an appointment if you need them too, 724-1234. Guys?
We'll have links and connections to register for the race also on our
Good
website.
deal.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thanks. Good luck.
Jim, thanks for having us.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but I hope you'll pick up your copy of Yes Weekly. Sometimes, Ogie, they put my name right here, and then I hide the paper, see? So I'm going to hold it right like that, then they can see it. All right. So then they get my name and the paper. All right, that's all the time we have. No, now it's time for the roundtable. On my right, but on... What are you laughing at? On my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster journalist. Next to him, Dr. Don Martin, Vice Chair of the Forsyth County Commissioners, who you saw earlier in the program, talking about that much-needed tax to help teacher salary. And next to him, bringing up the rear, is David Daggett, who was on earlier as well, talking about the 321 dash. Guys, let's get right to it. And I'm going to skip over Don Martin for this first question. As I said, Don and School Superintendent Harrison, Dr. Harrison appeared earlier to talk about the quarter-cent sales tax that can go to help to pay teacher salaries, to pay them more. Ogie and David, are you okay with a quarter-cent sales tax that would allow us to help pay our teachers more money? Ogie?
Actually, I don't think it's enough. I would be willing to pay more than that, or somehow another revenue stream to give teachers what they really deserve, or at least bring us up to the national average.
Yeah, David, we seem to lose hundreds of teachers from this area and through the state because they don't get paid enough. What do you think about the sales?
I think absolutely. But in addition to that, it needs to be combined with support and respect of our teachers. And we all need to do that. We need to support them, not just with money, but emotionally, pat them on the back, thank them for what they do,
Right.
Encourage them in the classroom, volunteer in the classrooms, volunteer in our schools.
I agree.
It's the most important thing we can do.
And you and Griff do a lot of that with the backpack program and some other things too. All right. So Don, we've embarrassed you now, and we've supported the tax thing.
Great
All right.
answers, great answers.
They are good answers. All right. This is not a political or an impeachment question, but it's a question. As soon as President Trump was acquitted, he fired 2 of the people who were called to testify before Congress. Now, in general, guys, and especially since we have an attorney on the set here, in general, should it be illegal for any employer to fire an employee for complying with a subpoena? Ogie Overman.
In general, yes, but specifically, I think the person who ordered the people not to testify, to not order the subpoena, should be fired.
Yeah. Well, I know what you were going to. Don, what do you think?
Well, I think the reason for the dismissal was certainly not the fact that they were subpoenaed and went. I think the issue is the president is looking for people to be loyal supporters. Got to trust them, and I think he has that right.
All right. I think Trump was calling Ogie just now too. His phone went. Was that your phone?
I wish it were.
No. All right. All right. David Daggett.
Now, I think so, but I am a very, very strong believer that we need a separate and independent judicial system, and that there should not be undue influence that crosses that line and interferes. It's an important part of our checks and balances. It's what makes our country great. We need to respect that, and we need to protect that.
All right, let's talk about respect here for a second. A high school principal in Washington State has been suspended for posting a distasteful comment on Facebook about Kobe Bryant's death and the rape trial he once was involved with. He wasn't convicted of anything, but he was involved in it. And the principal said on Facebook, quote, "Karma has caught up with the rapist," unquote. As disrespectful as that statement is and was, should the high school principal have been suspended, Ogie?
Yes, not fired, but suspended. He was never convicted of rape. We don't know. I mean, it could be a gold digger. We really still don't know that.
And bad taste to even put it out there. Don, you, as a former school superintendent, what do you do with a teacher or a principal who says things on Facebook?
Well, something I've said many times is that principals have a higher standard of behavior. It may be a freedom of speech issue, but a higher standard of behavior is that you don't say things like that out in the public eye in front of others.
David.
It was certainly poor judgment. I agree with Don 100%. Our principals need to be leaders in our community, not thrashing the trash around.
You're okay with the suspension?
I am okay with this suspension.
All right. Contrary to earlier reports, a new study conducted by the University of California at Berkeley shows that a majority of Native Americans are offended by the name Washington Redskins, and they're offended by Native American mascots and Native American war chants on college campuses. Once and for all, guys, should we get rid of these names and mascots, Ogie?
You know, Jim, I've been a skin through thick and thin, and I've fought the other side of this battle, but I've come around to believe we need to get rid of the Redskins.
Rid of all that.
I really
like
do.
at Don, there's the tomahawk chop stuff with some of the teams. What do you think? Get rid of them?
Well, it's been litigated at the public K-12 school level, and usually there are issues that surround it, and most districts have changed once they were challenged. But I think it is kind of when you get into the private sector, a little different, and I think I'm a little surprised you take a Florida State, which is a public university, and their Indian symbolism. It's kind of local, partly to me. I mean, part of that has to do, I'm not so sure what kind of review Florida State gets for that.
David.
Yeah, no, I agree with Don. It's a bit situational. If you have something that's clearly offensive, I think we need to do something about it. The flip side is, I think the Seminoles brokered a deal with the Seminole Indians, and so it's supportive in recognizing as somewhat of a tribute, and so it's a different situation. So you have different situations in different places, and we have to recognize that and be sensitive to it.
I know this question is not earth-shaking, but I wanted to throw it in there anyway because we're talking about names of things. The old, what I called old I-40, Business 40, is now Salem Parkway. So guys, are you and everybody else you know going to go and say, hey, Ogie, I'm taking Salem Parkway to the TV studio? Or are they just going to be like me and say, take Old 40 to Winston? What do you think is going to happen with that?
Old habits die hard, Jim. I still call Lee Street, Gate City Boulevard is still Lee.
Yeah.
The Wyndham is still the GGO to me, so
Yeah.
I don't think
Don, what do you think?
It takes a while, but I think eventually I'll get around to that name because I used to say Old Business 40. That's
Right,
even more
that's what I
cumbersome.
do. David?
Well, we're all of the age where we remember Old 40 and New 40 and Old Business 40.
Yeah.
But the very first time I said it to my son, Salem Parkway said, "What are you talking about?"
Your son did.
There you go.
All right. Well, I don't even know how the four of us are going to get home because we were going to tape Salem Parkway, but we don't know where that is. Finally, guys, scientists say they developed a pill that when taken daily will equal 1 hour of exercise. Now we have an Ironman athlete at the end of the table here. So guys, do you plan to take this pill instead of exercising? Oh, Gilverman.
I'm definitely not an Iron Man like
David?
Mr. Daggett. Well, here's the thing. I hope that's true because my wife can exercise. If there were a pill that would enable her to get the benefits
Somebody who's
of exercise,
disabled.
she's disabled and cannot.
That's
it would
interesting.
be wonderful. Yeah.
Probably a metabolism thing or something. Don.
That's a great point. I can still exercise and I want to do it.
David Daggett, before your Ironman competitions, will you take a pill?
It's interesting. They started testing for this in elite level athletes a number of years ago, and a couple cyclists got caught with it. The MIT researchers, I believe they were MIT that studied this, one of the things they found was that there's 100 other benefits from exercise besides just the physical health.
Sure.
And you get none of that from the pill.
Yeah, my wife looks at me different when I exercise, but if I take a pill, I don't think it'll be the same thing. All right, whatever that means, I don't know. Well, that's all the time we have, except for this. Last week, police in Wisconsin ticketed the famous Oscar Mayer Wienermobile for refusing to yield to other traffic. Said the cop, these Wienermobile drivers always think they can hot dog it. Have you noticed? Well, David, we didn't ask for your opinion. It was just a comment.
No, that's a statement of fact.
We don't want any opinions on that. For all of us here on Triad Today, we're going down Salem Parkway. We'll see you next time.